Good evening, everybody, and I can say it's evening this time officially for an NA match, which Normal time, huh? We've got Cerberus Esports versus the first appearance of Showtime since February. Megalas, are you ready to get this one going?
Yeah, we're having an interesting game here on our hands. It is lower bracket here in the NAGM tier. Cerberus, they kind of have a bit of an interesting round one. They fall by the wayside. But as you highlighted with Showtime, we're not making this up. The last time this team has played was February 22nd. Every match since then, including both the midseason tournament as well as their first playoff game, were all forfeits. But, I mean, if you want to take a quick look up at the bracket, obviously it tells the story of how Cerberus got here. They were able to take down the Classies Kittens, but fell at the hands of UTOW. But, I mean, it really just comes down to a question of we don't know anything about Showtime, and that's what's going to be the X factor in this match.
Yeah, I mean, they started out the season, the first 3 weeks, they went 3-0, right? I mean, they showed out a little bit early in the season and then just MIA. Just MIA. Nobody knows what they went. Nobody knows why they left. But now they're back, right? They're just they're here to play now. And you know what? I guess we'll have to see. I don't know. I've seen Cerberus play. They looked pretty good throughout the regular season and the playoffs, right? But it's a new meta. And you talked about it has, as we get a look at Showtime here, it got side 0 on the DPS, lag on the tank, gonna be playing Mercy, surely. And then if you see Amy and then Dizzy in the back line here, Showtime, 5 players that they, came out of their hidey hole here.
Yeah, and again, it really is going to be interesting, especially because we're in a whole new meta now that Orisa's been killed. We don't really know exactly what either of these teams is going to come up with. And, if you're one of the teams that likes to counter prep the other squad, then, I mean, Showtime's got you beat, right? You can't counter prep what didn't exist. Who knows why that happened, but, we're here now. Meanwhile, Cerberus on the other side of this, this squad absolutely stacked with an interesting season behind them. Sino and Shippy on that DPS line. Alazon going to be piloting the tank for now, and then Midnightmare and Trick, both those amazing players on the support line. But Cerberus, overall, 6-2 regular season, which is super interesting, but their losses are confusing because they beat both of the teams above them. They beat the top 2 teams in regular season. Their losses came to teams below them. So it seems like this is a team that, at least on paper, they punch to the level of their opponent, and that's something that really could make any match exciting.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? And both of those losses, for the record, were 3-2 to IUPUI Classies Kittens and Workers Union. Yeah, it's just like we've seen a lot of Cerberus this playoffs, right? They've looked pretty good. So coming in here, they fell to UTOW. It'll be their map pick because they played the regular season. I don't really have an answer on if Showtime is better than we know, right? That's something that we're just gonna have to see. But we do have Cerberus picking Nepal here to start out with, and it's kind of been that map pick that everybody's gone to. Lijiang Tower, the big brother's not in the map pool, so little brother will have to do. And it's a map type where Rush still is the king even without the Orisa. I like the Ram. I saw a little bit of Junker Queen earlier today. I don't know if I expect that from either of these teams, but it's really, really interesting. One team we don't know anything about, and both teams are dealing with a new patch, so it's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, and it comes down to just sort of what they want to play. Like you were saying, Fletch, Nepal, it's become the bread and butter with Lijiang out of the pool. In Nepal, it's just, we highlight it every single time this map comes up, right? Everybody's comfortable here across all 3 points. While each favors different compositions, different play styles, you're comfortable on all 3. Really, Village, obviously, you have things like May that become super dominant. Those choke points are super amazing to hold for rush style compositions. But then you get somewhere like the Sanctum, boop kills become an option. Playing the high ground with some long range like a Sigma really was something that even during the Orisa meta was super, super viable. And of course, who could forget Shrine, where you'd kind of just slam into the other team over and over again until somebody finds the advantage. So as we're just waiting to get into map here, it really comes down to what these teams have been practicing, what these teams have been cooking up, or if they're just going to default back into, potentially just comfort comps or comfort picks.
Yeah, this patch that we're talking about, it only came out yesterday, right? So early on in these, times of change, right? When you don't know what's happening, some teams tend to fall back on what they practiced before. I think you were talking about that just now a little bit, but it's really going to be interesting. Are we going to see the Orisa from either of these teams? And if we do, how is the other team going to take advantage of it? Because Orisa is not the character that she was 2 days ago, right? I mean, they extended all of her cooldowns just about. She has a slowing effect when she's fortified now. She's just not as efficient as she used to be, right? She used to be able to stay alive for a long time because she had this never-ending cooldown cycle, right? So with her cooldown cycle being way more punishable, I just feel like teams that are gonna play the Orisa are gonna get punished, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously punishment to be had. That's why you have seen a lot of people shy away from it initially. But I feel as though there is still a place for Orisa, and it's specifically against sort of Junker Queen compositions, right? Just on a, skill to skill, hero to hero basis, Junker Queen really cannot do all too much against the Orisa, especially with the Fortify. Orisa using that spear to help keep that Queen at arm's distance. It really is something that comes down to, what teams want to play and stuff. But it's not even just the Orisa, right? The big change, I feel like, besides the Orisa nerfs, was that the DPS passive of the or the reduced healing went back up to 20%. So you're seeing, characters like Tracer, Sojourn, Genji, who were already really, really strong picks, just get elevated even further. That fast-paced mobile DPS, being able to constantly apply those passives, those, reduced healing numbers, it really can make, a support's life and a tank's life a living hell. We've seen it several times today already. The Baptiste, unfortunately, in my opinion, it's falling out of favor. You need to be fast-paced. You need the Moira or the Kiriko for either the Fade, the Cleanse, the TP. You need to be able to disengage from that damage in some meaningful way.
Yeah, so a lot has changed, even though it was like a really small mid-season patch, right? So I do think that Overwatch, well, it was not middle of the season, but it's mid-season.
There's still a planned mid-season patch. Alex Dawson confirmed himself.
I didn't talk to that guy though, so I don't know that guy.
Listen,
but it's gonna be dives.
Yeah, at least here in the spawn room, both teams hovering dive, and this is what a lot of teams have already kind of defaulted to mentally, just playing fast, getting in the face of the other team. That being said, Showtime, we're not running out with a Lucio. We are actually running Baptiste Moira. It's so unbelievably interesting to not see a Lucio in play here, because it's going to allow exactly what you're seeing now, Cerberus to get the forward positioning.
All right, Alazan getting aggressive, jumping onto the Baptiste and the Sojourn. Able to jump away is Dizzy, who is just trying to run for their life, but not able to do it. But as we watch Dizzy try to run away, Zero is on the point, wreaking absolute havoc. Cyno is going to be able to take down this Moira, so this Tracer duel is going to be so important to who actually ends up winning this fight. Trick jumps in to go and actually clean up that Tracer. And finally, despite some Herculean effort by Zero, it will be Cerberus taking over this point first.
And I'm just truly baffled, right? Because this dive, it's gonna come onto the Baptiste over and over again, and you're not even on like a Kiriko or some other cleanse, right? Your quote-unquote peel ability is going to be burning Immortality Field pretty much every single time, so it's such an odd compositional choice to come out here, and you're seeing that it's working out for Cerberus.
Whoa.
They can just play the spawn doors.
Yeah, Zero almost gets sent off the map. Immortality Field out early. Dizzy being just tracked down. Run through at the moment. Stick onto Sino. Gonna take down Zero. It was a great stick by Zero, but Sino makes them eat a little bit of their own medicine. Now the health pool's not looking great for Cerberus, but Alazan has that Primal Rage. You're not gonna use it here. It'll actually be the sound barrier that they opt for, as Alazan finally gonna pop that Primal Rage, knowing that they want to keep this fight going for as long as they can. The Moira very low, gets the healing orb off, stays alive in the face of the Winston. They've lost Dizzy early again, though. For the third fight in a row, Dizzy the first to go down as Lag slams in, cannot find the punch, and Cerberus are going to hold on.
Yeah, that chaotic fight, it goes back and forth, but Cerberus, they're able to dig their heels in, burning a few support ultimates in the process, but they're kind of, okay with it, because again, their composition just fundamentally, it beats Showtime out. They can just play at such a faster pace, get in constantly, and always be the aggressors here. So now, heading into this final fight, you're going to see an overclock from Shippy, unless that happens.
It's a great early pick there from Lag, 2 for the Doomfist. You see Dizzy on an off angle, able to break it down here. Now it's just the stagger touch to try and get to 99%. And they will do that. But, at the end of the day, Showtime, they've got a mountain to climb here. 99% for Cerberus.
Yeah, I think the only really bad part about that fight for Showtime was the fact that Shippy died so fast they couldn't even attempt to pop the overclock, for a moment here. So that tool is still going to be in the arsenal there as Zero's Pulse Bomb ends up going wide. So it is going to be a duel of the Sojourns right now heading into this fight.
Okay, well, Side opens it up here. Gonna pop their overclock early before, once again, Shippy can use theirs. And Showtime are going to be able to hold on here in a very, very quick fight.
Yeah, and so now based off of those, these last two quick fights that they've been able to get, right, they have the Coalescence online, they're building up towards another Doomfist Meteor Strike. That's just such a great tool for the Doomfist to always have, because it lets you just play that much more aggressive, knowing you have the get out of jail free card sitting in your back pocket. And now we're heading to the next.
Okay, yeah, Lag goes up there to try and help Zero. And now the invisible coalescence magic trick here from Amy to keep Showtime alive as they can, and it's doing a great job at it. And now it's up to Shippy to try and find anything with this overclock, but gets nothing instead, and it's just Midnight Mare left. Probably get away there.
You would assume that the Moira gets away, but I mean, it's not always a guarantee when you have Tracers hounding constantly. So now you're seeing a bit of a disengage here, as Showtime did lose their Baptiste in that last fight, but Cerberus, they're not going to wait for this fight. They're going to want to go in aggressive. They know they have 4 ultimates in the bank. They can sort of just boom everything in.
All right, Side receives the, not the sound barrier, but the immortality field there to keep them alive, and sound barrier and everything is coming out of Cerberus's pockets here. Sino cleaning up a couple there. Make that not quite 3 for Sino, but 99% for Cerberus. Showtime did bring it back a little bit, but it's just the stagger touches now as Amy decides to go head first into the next area code, and Cerberus will be able to lock up Nepal Shrine.
Yeah, and it's so interesting from Cerberus, right? Because it feels like on, from that first round, observing it, right, your mechanical skills are at least on par, if not better, right? Zero on the Tracer, Side on the Sojourn, both had amazing pop-off moments. This Doomfist from Lag being in the right place at the right time, it feels like every time, but it just comes down to, again, you're working with a Baptiste that's a character that, it doesn't have the mobility the rest of the squad has. So there's a lot of times you're seeing Dizzy get left out on an island. Not even their own fault. It's just a super easy dive target. But I guess when you're heading into round 2 of Village here, Cerberus Esports, they're not even on a dive. They're going to be teleporting the Reinhardt around. This is a, tried but true old school composition here. You sort of just get to the point and dare your opponents to come and remove you by all costs, because I promise you it will not be easy.
All right, Nepal Village up next as Trick gets caught out a little bit there by Lag, who's trying to find something. Punches, I don't actually think punched anything away there, gets pinned by Alazan. And without the Doomfist in play for Showtime, there's just nothing they're going to be able to do here. They've got to hand over the point to Cerberus.
Yeah, and Showtime, I mean, the rest of the squad positioning exactly where you want to. Now, the teleport plays is exactly what you want to see from
Whoa!
Cerberus.
So, okay, Alazan able to barely get that pin onto Dizzy, and now it is Cerberus who overextend. Alazan was very, very low, got punished, and now the numbers are in favor of Cerberus, or of Showtime rather, taking out those Symmetra turrets on the point. And I mean, the trades keep coming through. Cerberus tries to keep this fight going for damn near as long as they can, but now Cerberus have returned. Zero gonna get the touch, but Alazan makes them eat a fire strike, and Cerberus establish themselves back on this point.
And, it was sort of a bit of a, unfortunate fight there. Alazan ended up just going a little too wide, making sure to secure that kill onto the Baptiste. Showtime, meanwhile, they've made a slight adaptation here. They have the Lucio in check, but it's not Dizzy swapping, it's if you see Amy. And now they have the Orisa in tow as well. This is another one of those matchups that, despite the nerfs coming through, you feel like Orisa has a solid advantage on, in specifically the Orisa versus Rein. But with the rest of the squad there, helping that Reinhardt move around, supporting him, putting walls up, it really is going to be difficult.
Pulse bomb out early from Zero, not going to find a target outside of that immortality field, and with this photon barrier in play for Cerberus, they've got just a big old shield, an even bigger one than Reinhardt's already got to play around, and now they're going to get aggressive with the teleporter one more time, and it will be their aggression that puts them on top of this fight. And I mean, Showtime's only got one more shot here.
One more shot. They're pushing into some heavy ultimates, including the Blizzard, which, Synox, that will cover the entirety of point, whether you like it or not. So it really is going to come down to cycling some Orisa cooldowns potentially to keep that stagger touch alive, and you might even have to invest sound barrier just to get in here.
All right, overclock from side. Gonna try and find something here as the Blizzard and the sound barrier, everything coming out from Cerberus, but it will not be enough to keep this fight going, as Side is putting bullet holes in everybody that they can. The cleanup there onto Alazan comes from Zero as Side cleans it up, and it will be Showtime coming out on top. Now, once again, mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's exactly like the first round, but this time they have a few ultimates still in the tank that I feel like can work out in their favor, right? The Earthshatter, Orisa, we're not talking Overwatch 1 anymore. There's no shield to stop everybody from hitting the floor. And also, a deadly combo in and of itself. Trick having this amplification makes sure to combo potentially with some fire strikes. That's going to be, I think it's 250 damage now, just chucking through people.
Terra Surge comes out early, and it was well placed because of where they teleported out of, and Lag is going to be able to say, you're going down with me if I go down, and the Shatter does come out, but there will be no cleanup on it for Cerberus Esports as they invested everything they had.
Yeah, and, you threw the Shatter out, primarily as I believe, potentially a reason to swap here. Reinhardt, it definitely is starting to feel those effects of trying to teleport in, trying to get on top of this Orisa, but it seems like Alazan at least wants to stick on it here for the time being. Both teams now tapped out the ult bank. Cerberus the closest to the next ones up with their DPS ults coming closer and closer, but it is, again, these TP plays, they're moving around so fast trying to catch people.
All right, Amy down first, and Cerberus are happy to try and exploit that. They have no speed on the side of Showtime right now. As the Wick begins to burn in overtime, Ant Matrix into the Photon Barrier, Blizzard out to try and deny the space from Shippy. Dizzy frozen up and taken down by Sino, and Showtime falter at the last second for a second round in a row. They only got to 85%. Cerberus get to 100. They lock up Nepal.
Yeah, and it's so bizarre because I feel like Showtime, they're making the correct adaptations, but they're coming through so far behind that eventually you're going to be stuck at an ult disadvantage in general here. And there's some fights in Overwatch that regardless of how good you are, you just can't win. So to have to try to battle back from 99 two times in a row, it really showed that, unfortunately there just wasn't enough to be done there. Cerberus Esports, though, they know exactly what they want to play, right? We saw two different little looks from them, starting out with the dive, then going over to that Reinhardt comp that works so well on Village. Cerberus really looking solid right now, and I'm expecting to see more of that from them as we go.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to keep this rolling. They don't want to get eliminated here, right? But it's just... I mean, Showtime have showed us that they can keep up, right? They're more than willing to try and adapt. I think, like you said, I agree that it's just a little too slow on the adaptations. I think if they switch to that Orisa a lot earlier, they probably have a significantly better chance at winning out on Village. They just kind of got out dived, I would say, on the first map on Shrine, and it's just that Lag was making some plays, some great shots came through from Showtime, but Cerberus were the ones that were just more in line with each other,
Yeah, I mean, Shrine, like, I'm not trying to focus it down to any one player or anything, but when you lack the Lucio, it shows, right? The whole point of a dive is moving fast, and that speed engage, Lucio is a character that if you're able to sort of just swing around on the walls, right, you can be, in with your Tracer, helping in that duel. You could be, potentially pivoting to your tank. You can almost sort of be just kind of wherever you need to be, and that's one of the crucial decision-making points of Lucio's nowadays. It's the reason the hero's been so strong for quite a while, but unlike Orisa, nobody's really minded it because Lucio, it's fun, it's enabling gameplay mechanics, including that aggression, that speed, that tempo control that you want to see in these matches, but unfortunately it just wasn't there for Showtime on round one. They saw to it on round two, it looked a lot better, but as we wait for our hybrid map pick to come through here, I mean, Cerberus, like you said, they've got this figured out, and they know that they can push it all the way and then win the fight where they need to, but there certainly are some fights where they're just slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, it's just... You can't reliably win by just saying, hey, somebody go make a big play, right? And that's kind of what Showtime was relying on. They were relying on big punches from the Doomfist or, high impact railguns and overclocks from the Sojourn that, it's the proper go kill 5 mentality. Eventually, that's just not going to serve you right. You have to be able to, especially if you're going to run this hard dive that Showtime wants to run, you have to be more in tune with, especially between the Doomfist and the Tracer. There has to be more, linking up between those two to clean up on the damage that either one of them is doing. And it's just not happening as much as it is with Cerberus when they were, running the Winston. And then, they went over to the Reinhardt and they were still in tune with each other. They were like, hey, we're going to, find one pick while we're bunkered down on the point, and then once we find that pick, we're going to TP up to that high ground, and we're going to run them down. And that is, the biggest reason, I think, why Cerberus ended up winning that map very, very closely.
Yeah, and I promise we're not yapping for fun. We just got some stuff going on in the lobby, but one of the things we do have in the lobby for you is our next map pick of Midtown coming through, as we are waiting, I believe, a Showtime player is restarting a computer, so getting that tech issue out of the way in between maps instead of pausing in the middle of a map. You'll love to see it. But yeah, Midtown, as you were talking about, Fletch, that dive can be incredibly strong on points 2 and 3, but when you think of first point, you don't really think of dive, right? Obviously, you have the overhead train that everyone realizes is a death trap for better or for worse, so you can hold the choke, either super aggressively with a rush. We've seen a lot of Junker Queen play work out amazingly here, but on the other end of it, if you want to slow the game down, maybe a speed isn't your thing, that Sigma can just absolutely work out for large portions of Midtown. So I'm interested to see, potentially if we see that adaptation from Showtime, or if they attempt to match the tempo of Cerberus.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting as we get into Midtown. I agree. Midtown is a very flexible map, right? Like you said, Rush is pretty bog standard on point 1. That dive, it gets really, really strong on point 2 because, the bridge on Midtown is very, very important to hold on to. And if you can hold on to that pretty reliably, you're generally speaking going to defend very, very well on Midtown. I don't really know I don't really know what's gonna happen here because I mean it's just the fact that we don't know anything about Showtime, right?
Yeah.
Like Showtime hasn't played since 2 patches ago. 2 major patches ago. Before Orisa was strong was the last time Showtime was playing, right? So it's just we don't have that information because I know I've watched Cerberus play a few times now as it's Oxywash Overdrive. I thought it was oxygenated something or other.
I'm willing to bet knocked up this shot.
But it looks like it'll be the rush compositions, or the rush composition singular for Cerberus Esports. I'm not really certain what's happening in the Showtime spawn, so I'll ignore that for a little bit. But Cerberus, they've just got such a classic rush composition with this Ramatra, Mei, Lucio.
Yeah, it's, exactly what you want to see. You're going to use the Mei wall to help enable that Ramatra a little bit harder. The Sojourn's going to be almost on off angles, playing the range super effectively. Meanwhile, Showtime, they are an attacker spawn, so they can make some switches, but I don't think the switches are happening. So let's take a look at what we're really working with. 2 medium to long range hit scan with the Ashe and the Sojourn taking nice shots. Meanwhile, Lag is on Roadhog, and with hooks like that, I mean, hey, you can't really question it all too much.
Alright, able to sidestep the wall from Sino here. The hook comes out one more time. And the follow-up is there. Everybody got a piece of Sino, and Showtime are ready to walk in here. Another dynamite onto Shippy, but Shippy's already dead before the dynamite even explodes. The Ramatra very, very low. Alazan cleaned up by Lag, and Showtime on their, we'll say, unconventional composition, just walk right past Cerberus.
I mean, it makes sense to a degree because this is just, if in your mind, it's almost a variation of a pit composition, right? You normally see feature double sniper, Widowmaker, Hanzo, or, we've seen Ashe and Sojourn both substituted in those slots before. And then you have the Baptiste as sort of a primary heal that can sort of throw heals onto everything. But instead of a Zenyatta, a super diveable, isolatable target, you opt for the Alari, who has a little bit more of that jump as well as the long range damage. But I guess it won't really matter if your Alari takes an icicle to the head.
Yep, Amy is down first in this fight, and Alazan trying to get aggressive. Has to use the Immortality Field to stay alive here for the time being, but a big, big dynamite from Zero. And I mean, that just basically saved them the fight. That dynamite did as Zero comes in for 3.
Yeah, and, this is going to send the defense reeling here. Cerberus, they wanted to hold up on this high ground, and they're not going to get that chance to now as the Zero decides, after getting all those kills, I'll go back to cart, guys. Don't worry. We don't need to have a support on here. As Dizzy is probably playing that high ground super aggressively with Side by their side right now. You're going to see probably an Amplification Matrix comboed with this Overclock, and Cerberus is going to have to find some place to hide. Otherwise, they're just going to have rail after rail shooting at him.
All right, Bob is going to enter the fray first, and Lag with another big hook there on it to Midnight Mare to open this fight up. The Amp Matrix comes out. Lag is dead here, so this fight is anybody's for the time being, but with Alazan popping this Annihilation and just can't get anything done, did not look at the Immortality Field as it is just Zero and Amy versus Sino and Trick here, as Trick, she can only do so much by herself, and somehow, some way, Showtime get the job done.
I would love to give like an actual commentary as to how that fight broke down, but it really was there wasn't a fight plan. It was just sort of, we're going to just chuck in damage, we're gonna chuck in shot after shot, and just raw mechanics diff. At the end of the day, it worked out for him, sure, but that's not something you can rely on consistently for Showtime here, as now they're heading into point C. Cerberus on another adaptation here. They've gone over to the poke fully themselves, the standard poke, with the Sigma, with the Bab Zen.
I mean, Zero is just clicking heads right now. They're able to get rid of that healing pylon early for Cerberus, and Midnight Mirror, who came out on the Zenyatta, able to volley down Amy here, and finally Cerberus are going to be able to take a breath here on their defense.
Yeah, you know, the take a breather from lag was not able to help, so that's why Cerberus was now able to take a breath themselves. Pretty poetic, don't you think? But yeah, heading on into the next fight, you're going to see Bob be a solid engage tool here, as neither Cerberus support player has been able to build up towards those ultimates yet. Trick getting incredibly close though, and now an overclock from Shippy might buy the time needed.
Yep, and it will do just that. Zero is buried, so Bob will not be a factor in this fight. A great early pick there from Shippy. They're going to try and kite the damage from both Sino and Shippy for a little bit, as they just fight from this high ground. Not really being able to see anything here on the side of Shippy. The hog hook going to come out, not going to find a target. We see the Captive Sun going to hit the top of the arch there, as they were trying to get it through the Amp Matrix, as Trick popping their own is going to be able to rip Amy a new one there. And I mean, yeah, Cerberus, they're able to bring this fight out, as Bob just chilling back there. Bye, Bob.
Hi, Bob. Bye, Bob. Indeed, both Bobs being expended there. And it's just such a interesting situation to find themselves put into now. Showtime, we got to talk about it, right? They're making this adaptation. They've gone over to the Reinhardt, but instead of a Lucio to speed the old man around, it seems as though Lifeweaver might be the play here. And I mean, you see the strategy almost as like permission for the Reinhardt to in, but you can't even talk about the Rein because Shippy's just firing shots.
Yep, Shippy able to clean up on the damage dealt by Sino here early, who's continuing to hit shots. And speaking of Zero, gonna go over to the Widowmaker, and Showtime will just wait for the Widow to come back.
Yeah, waiting for the Widow, except for Dizzy, who's choosing to peek solo into that. Super interesting play. But yeah, so what you're seeing here, as I was trying to highlight, it's almost like a free pass for Ryan to get dumb, get aggressive, and then the Lifeweaver will pull them back. But that might have been a little too far.
Just a little too far, a little too fast. No time for Amy to react there. The overclock from side. There's the life grip. It'll be side being pulled out, but Sino is dead here, so... okay, so Showtime's going to change it up again.
Yeah, decided the Reinhardt wasn't spun into the Zenyatta. I can't necessarily blame him, but the Flux already out.
Gravitic Flux out, Amy dead. Lag did come back on this Doomfist, trying to save the life of their Lifeweaver, but not quite able to do that, as this poke composition that Cerberus has switched to is becoming a nightmare for Showtime to get past. Alazan is so damn low, but the grasp plus the experimental barrier is able to save the life of the Sigma, and they're able to back around the corner.
Yeah, backing around the corner. Zero now getting massive shots off this Widowmaker. This is exactly what you want to see.
All right, the infrasights come out from Zero here. Alazan, very low, throws out the kinetic grasp, able to back out around the corner again after taking that big damage. You see Shippy continues to try and do something with this overclock, but it's some great kiting by Showtime to stay alive here. Power block comes up for Lag. It gets pulled back by the life grip of Amy here. They're going to have this tree of life. Sino, they're going to find the early pick here in this fight. Lag punches in, gets rocked, and that was creative, if anything. And Showtime stifle one more time. They've only got 20 seconds left.
Yeah, and you know, for 20 seconds left, they came into this with 5 minutes for point 3, and they've been absolutely stifled as Cerberus plays their composition, you know, just better, right? It's that same exact poke, and now with Dizzy already dead, can anybody even touch?
The answer is yeah, I guess. I didn't really expect a touch here, but the Tree of Life going to keep this fight going for a little bit anyway. You see Zero up there get a look at that health bar, not looking super healthy, but able to get the 2-piece as Alazan tries to get in there and fight that, and it's just side and lag on this point right now. Dizzy comes back, throws out the Immortality Field. Lag, good for 2. Well, make that 3 for Lag. They're still alive in this push.
They're still alive. They're going to have Amplification Matrix. Trick 5% away. Make that 4 in the spawn room. You're hoping that your Baptiste can mirror it on the other side. Alazan being forced onto D.Va, sort of as a fast recontest situation here, but it is going to be brutal in this spawn room.
Alright, they're going to feed that Empowered Punch to Lag early here. The Pulse Bomb not going to find a target, but you know who will? Zero will find a target to open this fight up. There's no touch potential for Sino anymore, who's going down, and Showtime, ice in their veins, started all the way back behind that last turn, and they complete the map somehow.
I mean, nothing short of heroics, right? You have that final fight as the overtime's going. After the Transcendence comes out, you see Zero take 2 heads clean off, quick as you like. And as the trades go back and forth after that point, it is Lag who steps up on the Doomfist, securing the other 3 kills. And, you know, granted, it's nice and helpful when your Baptiste is one of the people alive, being able to keep you nice and healthy throughout that entire engagement. So, like you said, Showtime, they're able to complete the map, but considering you went into third point with 5 minutes in the bank, the fact that you ended in overtime, maybe not feeling all too great. Cerberus on the other side of things, you know, now they have a mountain to climb themselves. It's, you know, it's not a guarantee to finish out Midtown. It is one of the harder maps to guarantee that on, so I will be looking to them in their spawn room to see what sort of offense they can cobble together to, you know, maybe make something like that possible.
You know, Red Team, yeah, I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
Red Team today finished with 3.5 minutes. I just am still in awe at how strong the Red Team looked today. That's a little bit off topic, but what is on topic is that both teams are running Ramatra here.
Yeah, first time we're seeing it from Showtime here, but again, they're lacking that crucial Lucio hero, so, you know, even though you're piloting the Ramatra, you have the sustain, you don't have any disengage ability. When you're in, you are in, and it gives Cerberus, you know, all the opportunity in the world to find a wall, find an opportunity to get in onto the squad, but it seems like Cerberus, they're going to opt for these safe rotations through the back alleys to try to make their way to point.
Yeah, side creeping up behind them right now as they enter the firehouse. They're going to come out the other door onto the point, so they've got that positioning locked down. A big dynamite incoming, hits 3 or 4 people on the side of Cerberus, and Cerberus, they're being cooped up in it to the firehouse right now as Shippy considers taking the high ground, but opts to do not that, I guess, as both shields come out from the Ramatras, and Zero is just pumping so much damage into this room. The Ramatra being punished for their hubris by, you know, being cut off by the wall. A big, I mean, it's just Zero pumping out every bit of damage that they can, and once again, it's a dynamite, as we saw, that saves the fight for Showtime.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was going disastrous for Showtime. Lag overextends into the building, gets May walled off, and that's Cerberus's perfect game plan. They killed the Ramatra, but this Ashe, Zero, has just been a massive, massive thorn in their side. Constantly, you're talking about it, these massive dynamites coming up time and again, and Showtime, they've built up towards all their ultimate. Cerberus, they really aren't going to have all too much outside of this sound barrier and maybe a blizzard.
One of the few times that dynamite will not be big from Zero, but Lag explodes. That is unfortunate. And now there's, like, you can throw a big dynamite or you can throw it into the fire truck there as the amplification matrix comes out from Dizzy, and they just let their Ramatra die, and that's when they go to work. That's when they dominate.
it feels like an old school, like I'm talking like 2018 competitive Overwatch, where the idea was you would literally just let your Winston go in and die,
Oh, sick man,
knowing
yeah.
that there was a knowing there was a resurrect from an overpowered Mercy to come through. But instead of there being a resurrect or anything of that nature, it's just, you know, you decide that after your Ramatra's dead is when you have the advantage.
All right, the Annihilation is here for Lag. The disengagement is not from Cerberus, though. They're just going to let this ultimate play out. The Blizzard going to freeze up Lag, but Alazan is dead, and that is not the fight that you want to take if you're Cerberus Esports. Showtime has won fight after fight without their tank, and, I mean, they're going to do this just the same.
I mean, yeah, these DPS are lighting it up. Dizzy, and if you see Amy almost becoming 4th DPS on the field, where everybody's just pumping in damage time and again. But, you know, Cerberus Esports, you're about to walk into your best opportunity ever. You have Annihilation. There's nothing on the other side to even remotely stop the damage from pouring through, and you're going to have everybody caught up on the staircase.
All right, Annihilation from Alazan this time. Shoving them into the train is this Ramatra, as Alazan is on fire, receives a little bit of healing, is stuck, is dead to the hands of Side. Lag finds Midnight Mare, and Bob could enter this fray at any point here, and it will. Bob comes in, Sino is just too late. They kill Side, but Showtime continues to just win fights shorthanded.
And so now it's going to come down to Cerberus Esports. I believe it's going to be a Midnight Mare. She's got to get back on this Lucio to get a touch onto the point to trigger some sort of overtime. You're seeing the skates come through. They're fortunately not able to make it, but the Ramatra can.
Ramatra can, but it's too little, too late for Cerberus Esports. The clutch factor of Showtime, you know, we saw it at the end of their attack when they ham-fisted their way through the end of the point C, but just time after time, Lag goes down first, goes too far, dies. They just don't care. They're able to play so perfectly around the death of their Ramatra that it's like, oh, Lag's dead, that means we win. That's what it felt like on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's so baffling to me because you can tell just watching, right? You know, Showtime has not played in a few months, right? You can tell just by stuff, the lack of synergy and, you know, the mistakes like Lag dying there, you know, time and again. But on a mechanics level, you know, that first map, like I said, they were pretty close. Sometimes they were pulling away with the edge. You know, Zero, like, I'm not even going to say just Zero, right? Because obviously the Ashe was the highlight. That's what we saw the most of. But the entire squad, Side, Dizzy, if you see Amy, all of them were pumping out the damage consistently, getting pick after pick, turning fights that had no right to be turned. And so now, you know, this ice is thawing. Showtime, they've truly woken up. They're back, and they're looking better than ever.
They look good on that map. I mean, it was a blistering pace on their attack until they got stalled out a little bit by the poke comp of Cerberus on point C, but damn, was that defense stifling. My God. So, I mean, moving forward for Cerberus, we're going to go to a break. Cerberus has to, you know, kind of cope with that they let that slip away from them for sure. I mean, those are fights that you have to win when, you know, the enemy team is down their tank. So they've got to figure out a way to not let that happen during this break. They got to take a breath. They got to talk about it. They got to figure something out. They got to figure out where they're going. So stick around. We will see what Cerberus is going to bring out on Flashpoint.
Got lots of love. Got lots of love. Got lots of love. of love. Got lots of love. 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 Love.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And after a very, very interesting Midtown, the series is tied. Showtime coming back from their hibernation, starting to move a little quicker, starting to move a little better, starting to look a little better.
Yeah. I mean, they absolutely they're looking better, but it's hard to say because our only comparison is these two maps. Again, we can't highlight it enough. Just them really coming out of hibernation, it feels like, from the winter and coming back into this series. It really is a sight to behold. But, you know, Cerberus, they definitely aren't going to take this one sitting down. I'm sure that they've got some power, something built up in them, especially seeing as we're heading on over to Flashpoint. You know, who knows? Maybe Showtime doesn't even know what Flashpoint is. It's been so long.
Yeah, so their selection for Cerberus is going to be Saravasa because, of course, it's Saravasa, right? I definitely think that we're probably going to see at least one of these teams is going to run a Ramatra Rush. That's my guess. Otherwise, you know, the Junker Queen, especially with the Orisa being, you know, out of the picture for the most part. We haven't seen an Orisa since the like 3 fights that Showtime tried to run it on Nepal Village. So I don't think that that's going to be the play. The Junker Queen, though, I feel like definitely is in play with how well she plays on Saravasa. I definitely would not be surprised to see the Queen.
Yeah. And, you know, Queen, it's really kind of one of those things, right? It's almost like a rock, paper, scissors game of Ramat, especially now that the nerfs came through, right? Ramatra beats Orisa, Orisa beats Queen, Queen can beat Ramatra. So if the tanks can sort of be stuck in this loop of constantly having to pick, hey, look, it's the Crocodile Can. I almost like could have predicted this, except I can't because it's just the only thing that's ever done. But hey, listen, look at him, he yawned.
Calm down on my boy. He does not deserve that. He's just trying to get through life, just like the rest of us. All right.
He's been alive for like 40 million years. He. I think it's time for him to move on.
I think it's time for you to calm down. You stop messing with my boy Fred. But it's gonna be, you know, we hovered the Ramatra, but it's just gonna be Maga here for Showtime in the face of Cerberus Dive.
Yeah, the dive I like, super fast. They're playing with a Reaper, so no range. They're purely going in off these hack targets and getting in close. Meanwhile, Showtime, they're going to want to get in about as close as well, right? The Malga, it's not a hero that likes to play those range, even though those miniguns have a little bit of it. You just sort of pick a target, you run at them unimpeded, and just go until something dies or you die, whatever it happens first.
All right, well, Lag gets hacked up first, but just going to kite all of the damage that they put out. And Midnight Mare is looking disgustingly low right now. And it will be a trade, but it's a trade that Showtime favors every single time. Lag hacked one more time, and Sino does not have Wraith form, 2 HP. Make that 0, and Showtime, after the first official fight, they gave up 30%, but, you know, this will go their way eventually.
Yeah, it might even be more than 30%, right? You're going to have some more stall out here if the Winston wants to commit to it or not. Unfortunately, that jumped just a little bit late, so now you've given up for nothing. But still, 42% to your name. Very interesting that in that previous fight, Lag chose to run to the health pack when both of his healers were alive. I mean, hey, you do what you gotta do, but it really shows just kind of the way that Showtime's playing, where they're all almost just sort of individuals that are becoming this cohesive unit together. Just every single angle is a death trap for Cerberus, and they have to find a way to push into it now with a Malga of their own in tow.
The hack is on to side here early as Alazan has gone over to the Maga. Gonna try and, you know, out damage this as they're on that Maga comp that was meta for like a week. And Alazan is already buried under the ground, under the dirt. It's a fight that Showtime is happy to take right now, as it will be Showtime that's finding the picks and holding on to this point. And that does it for Market, I think.
Yeah, unless there's like a staggered out touch from the Lucio here. Trick, she has an opportunity to come back in and she'll see the touch, but flipped up plus the anti.
What a
means that it's not lucky for this world.
Yeah, Market goes to Showtime after Amy decides that she's going to flex the mechanics a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, that's why you're sort of on the Ana, right? You may have been, you know, a little bit more vulnerable with that Winston, but now that the other team's on Malga, I mean, Ana really opens up this whole world of value and opportunity here.
All right, Lag is hacked up, antied. Now it's the cage fight, but that's why you play the Sombra. But Zero and Dizzy and everybody on the side of Showtime has entered the fray, and once it's just a story that we've seen all series long. Showtime loses someone early, but just punches them in the mouth, and I think it was Lag again.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no real way to help save the Malga, right? Even with the insane healing output of a Baptiste Ana, you're EMP'd out of your cage fight, you're definitely going to be caught off guard. There's nothing much you can do, but being able to commit those ults after and, you know, really taking advantage of the fact that EMP had to be wasted onto a solo target, it puts Showtime in a great position. Granted, they had to give up this high ground, it seems, and now you're going to see Synox attempt to try to rotate around, find somewhere to place this Death Blossom.
Alright, side, rolls over to this opposite high ground to try and find something with the overclock. Gonna pop it here. The cardiac overdrive is out from both Magas here as you see Lag just trying to get away, but I mean, who could have guessed? Lag dies first, Showtime wins the fight!
It's so odd that this is consistent, right? And what you're seeing is Cerberus Esports, they're overcommitting to make sure this Malga dies every single time, but the rest of Showtime, they're more than happy to do this because in the time they're having to overcommit, find angles, and take Lag out of the fight, you know, Zero side, somebody is going to find an advantage, a pick potential to come through, and now with Palace capped, it seems like where they're running, we're heading to Garden. They're gonna have phenomenal first positioning again. The only thing Cerberus has going for them right now is they have an ult bank built up where Showtime don't have anything to show for it.
Oh, Cerberus are able to open up the fight with a great hack and virus on two side, and the TP from Sino is there, and finally it does seem like Cerberus is going to be able to take advantage of what is being given to them by Showtime and get this first flip here on Garden.
Yeah, beautiful first pick coming out from Shippy on that Sombra. And, you know, that's almost sort of what you need your Sombra to do, right? You have the EMP for the cage fight, sure, but otherwise, you know, find somebody to harass, and in this case, it was if you seek Amy, being able to remove a support from the fight constantly, to DPS, whatever it may be, it just is all you ever need to do. So now Cerberus, if they rotate their ults properly here, this should be a free Garden for them. As Showtime, they still really don't have anything in the bank, only Zero's Pulse Bomb going to be coming online soon.
Amy as well, building up to a nano boost here. Could be big. A lot of potential damage from Lag. So we will have to see as Lag is going to enter the fray. But Amy is just pressured out again in that backline as Alazan receives a pulse bomb as the EMP comes out. What's good is that Showtime didn't invest anything.
Yeah, and now this should be a stagger out onto the Baptiste, so Dizzy definitely won't be able to make it back in time for a final fight here on Garden. So the question Showtime has to ask right now is if they commit or not. But is there rowing? Is there something I didn't notice?
Oh, Zero switched to Venture. Now over to Hanzo.
I mean, yeah, I felt like the Tracer was doing fine. I don't think Showtime needed to make a comm swap, rather. It was just sort of they got ult cycled on that point. But, hey, you know, they know better than me. They're the players. I'm just the observer in this situation, watching from the outside looking in.
Silly goose.
All right, we're getting technical with names. Figure out this fight. It's about to get hectic.
All right, see, so the observers are knock on wood and Mara. So... you know that, okay? So Zero switches again over to the Widowmaker. A little more reliable with the one-shots than the Hanzo, but I guess we'll have to see as Lag goes in. Nano Boost gonna use the sound barrier. Amp Matrix Alazan is buried. Now the cage fight out from Lag. This Coalescence is able to pierce through the cage fight here as you see that Shippy wants it and gets it.
Yeah, being able to walk in, maneuver around even in the cage and get those picks, that's exactly what you need from your Sombra player. Now both teams completely drained their ultimate banks to win these last sets of fights, so nothing really even close to online short of Shippy's EMP. This really is looking like Cerberus finally being able to put up some sort of resistance against the Showtime aggression.
Okay, Showtime ready to roll here one more time as Amy is barely able to escape. Actually, that was Side that was able to escape, but not forever as Trick cleans that up, and Showtime are just gonna hit the S button. They're gonna disengage.
Yeah, and I mean, choose to disengage. Make sure you get your teammate back for a final fight here on the Ruins instead of, you know, staggering yourselves out in a four-person situation. But, you know, lying in wait, Shippy has this EMP. It can be dedicated down onto anybody, even the solo onto the Ana here.
I mean, Amy just is able to survive here and gets the pick onto Shippy, which is good, but I mean, all the damage that Sombra is doing is being followed up on consistently here, and now it's up to the touchers from Showtime. They throw out the Amp Matrix just as a security measure. They know that they've got this point all but locked up. And do they know where Trick is at? Trick kills.
Trick gets the pick on Zero, a moral victory if nothing else. But something to highlight is Zero, switched over to the Widowmaker, the Hanzo. There's a few different swaps in there. Back over to the Tracer, has already built a Pulse Bomb. So it's going to be a chaotic fight, to say the least, here heading into the next one, especially as that EMP from Shippy never got an opportunity to get used. So now the question is it going to be an engage tool, or are they going to wait for the cage fight?
Shippy looking like they want it. The hack is broken by Zero here for the time being. Pulse Bomb is out onto Alazan. Both cage fights invested. The EMP comes out. It hits Lag. We will see. Shippy goes down here. The coalescence from Midnight Mare can be big. Zero goes down, and as a strange departure from what we've seen for the last two maps, Showtime loses a fight after Lag goes down.
It's almost like you need your tank to win in some of these situations. But, I mean, Cerberus, they're playing a better composition right now, right? They're able to take that frontline war against Lag on the Malga, but they're constantly sending either Synox or Shippy into this backline to make this Ana and Baptiste feel so much pressure. And, it's paying off in spades for them right now. They're able to get forward positioning. They have the Reaper Death Blossom for whenever this engage comes through. And really, I mean, if I'm either Dizzy or if you see Amy, I'm just living in constant fear of a Sombra.
Yeah, well, right now, they're more than happy to say, hey, Shippy's on the point. We don't got to worry about someone behind us. Now, the Nano Boost comes out on to Lag. They're going to try and take down Alazan. Both have the Cardiac Overdrive up, and the Sound Barrier from Trick is going to save Alazan's life for a little while. Was anti finally cleaned up. Now they're able to get this aggression going. Zero cleans up 2, and the shots come through as Zero on the Tracer continues to impress.
Yeah, I mean, Zero is the hero. It's been the case for a while, right? We saw it on Midtown. That Ashe was lighting it up time and again. So now Showtime, on our final point of Flashpoint, they get the cap going first. They're able to expend some of those ultimates out from Cerberus and put themselves at a slight advantage here. But there's still so much more percentage to gain.
All right, side from this high ground, trying to build up to a railgun here. Not finding the consistency on the shots that they would like, as you see Shippy back there right behind the Tracer as they try to find something. Zero has to use the recall early. Now the Ant Matrix is out, and Shippy has to get away. The damage is coming through from this high ground as Cerberus are too scared to push into the middle of the point, but Trick's not scared to get up in the face of Showtime on that high ground. The flip is going to come through for Cerberus, and Showtime have to disengage and try and catch their breath while they wait.
Yeah, nobody really fell over, though, so it is just going to be this engage coming forward here once again. Another EMP from Shippy about to be online, and the Death Blossom all but there.
Can they take down Shippy? They cannot. Shippy does end up going down, but the Death Blossom is colossal. 3 for Sino to save the fight there for Cerberus Esports.
Yeah, and investing that Death Blossom, it feels a little bit costly because now they're going to be lacking a few ultimates, but it was necessary. As you said, they were missing Shippy. The fight was not guaranteed because Showtime, again, sure, they don't have the Lucio, they don't have the speed, but they have such insane amounts of healing that as long as all 5 members are alive, you give it just 1 or 2 seconds, people are going to get topped up. Heading into this next fight, though, it's going to be final fight unless there can be a flip from Showtime. And this cage fight from Alazan, it really can be the exclamation point on this map.
All right, one more time for Showtime, and the cage fight is out from Alazan, and Lag does not want to face tank all of that damage. Side with the overclock finds 1. Can they find another? They find 2, and they clean up Sino, and finally, Showtime, they're going to wrestle this point back, and there's only going to be 1 more shot for Cerberus.
1 more shot, but they are going to be on staggered respawn. Shippy died so incredibly late. You see, both their DPS just spawned, so it is going to be Trick touching here, and that might be a situation where you have to touch giving your life, and they can't even get the point.
They can't get the point. Showtime going to deny the reverse sweep here on Suravasa and move to match point. They come back from their slumber, and I mean, they looked more in tune with each other on that map than they have on the past 2. They really are waking up.
Yeah, and you're like, it truly feels like we're almost sort of building Frankenstein or something like that, right? You're seeing each and every body part. It's being placed together. The synergy's coming back. The compositional picks are coming back, to try to counter pick left, right, and center. And, it's paying off more and more. And the longer this series goes, I feel like Showtime, they're just getting better and better. So Cerberus, you've got to find, some sort of place to make a last stand here. You're heading into push. Your entire tournament is on the line. We're already in loser's bracket. And I mean, sure, you never want to lose, but you don't want to lose to a team that literally hasn't played in 3 months.
Realistically, I think the biggest thing for Showtime coming back and winning these 2 maps is that their confidence is growing. They are becoming more and more confident in their abilities to win this game. And that all just lends to the stuff that you talked about. That synergy, that the mechanics, everything is just boosted a little bit by that confidence. And it's not overconfidence either, right? They're not like hyper overextending every fight. They're taking the fights that they know they can win, and they're disengaging when they know they can't. So for Cerberus now, going into this is their tournament on the line, right? This is their entire season on the line. They need to lock it in here as we get into push.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no other way to highlight it. Backs against the wall. That's sometimes where teams can thrive, but it also is where teams can fall apart. Push map pick has come through. Is anybody surprised? It is Esperanza. I mean, this map, ever since, we had our first 2 push maps, right? We got Coliseo, we got New Queen Street. People were fiending for something more, and Esperanza was that ask. I mean, everybody loves this map. You got some nice high ground to play around on that first point for both sides of it, but then after that, if you get the checkpoint going, you move into the streets, some longer ranges to work with, somewhere that, a lot of compositions can sort of play to fruition. And both these teams, they've shown a plethora of things, right? But I think the key thing to note there, especially on Cervasa, is the fact that the first team to run out on the Malga, it was Showtime. And to take a team as good as Cerberus Esports and force them into playing your own game. Sure, they had their slight adaptations with the Sombra and actually having that Lucio in tow, but, the fact that Cerberus was willing to bend the knee, and sure, they came close, but unfortunately, it shows that Showtime now has a little bit of control in this game, beyond just the scoreline. It's the mental control of saying, hey, listen, we know that you want to try to play us in our own compositions, but guess what? We're just better. So now, potentially, Showtime could take it to them on some sort of Winston dive, as they're currently highlighting. I don't know if this was intentional, but it seems Side and If You See Amy have swapped roles. So Side over to support If You See Amy on DPS.
It wasn't intentional.
I mean, they might be stuck on that. I don't know what the ruling is. The lobby technically start. I mean, that's going to be a gray area for sure.
Well, luckily Headrammer is in the other VC right now, so we can figure that out pretty quick. But it's Dive. It's Dive. I'm happy to see Dive back. It's so nice to see the fast-paced action of Dive back in action after the the last month and a half of incredibly slow Orisa gameplay. I like metas that are more quick and a little bit less predictable. So it really is nice to see that both of these teams on Esperanza are gonna rock out with the Winston.
Yeah, and the dive is going to be super fun to pilot here. But again, this is exactly the Cerberus they walked out with on Flashpoint before switching to the Malga composition. And so now it's Showtime's chance to show it. It seems as though the ruling on the field is, hey, you picked it, you live with your decisions. Side is going to be actually playing the Brig. If You See Amy over to the Tracer, this sort of role swap up, sure, it seems fun on paper, but it really can lead to such a different look here for the entire side of Showtime.
All right, here we go. The engagement from Alizon on to the back line of Showtime. Dizzy boop down to the low ground as a great whip shot there from Side to throw the Winston back a little bit, as the first fight will go to Showtime. They don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, 0 on the Genji, you know, showing that it's, you know, certain heroes that are their way. I was gonna say, the 6th player joining Showtime. I was gonna say, everybody's got a flashbang of what 6 players looked like in the lineup, but yeah, you know, just a little bit of a glitch of some kind. Nice little emote from the Winston on cart here.
We moved Amy into the DPS
Yeah, that's what we did. We moved people around. I see.
Alright, yeah, the engagement from Lag here, trying to find this Lucio early, trying to find anything here as they just falter here as the dive is strong from Showtime. Yeah, they'll grab it here.
Yeah, 29.3 meters, all that Showtime's going to walk away with off their first push as Synox and Alazon clean up that fight beautifully, I might add. And really, it just shows their dive is paying dividends, right? Shippy on the Echo constantly throwing in those sticky bombs and just the raw damage that Echo can put out time and again. It's so devastating. Showtime now having 0 swap off of the Genji, which they were so good on, over to the Cassidy now, and I feel like this is a direct answer to the DPS line of Cerberus.
But 0 comes into the fight and leaves it just as fast as Sino is able to jump on it to that Cassidy. There's a little bit of a tracer duel going on for the bot, but it's just Amy left. Oh.
You know, honestly, the pulse bomb, you gotta respect chucking it out onto an enemy tracer. Like, if you get that stick, you've won such a good moral victory, but it seems as though there was no victory there unless your name was Cerberus Esports, as they will be taking the lead. It's going to be a pretty heavy ult fight heading on into the next one. Really, it's just kind of DPS ults that have been traded here. Synox still having this pulse bomb could mean a quick end to the fight if it lands onto a crucial target, but there are ways to answer for Showtime. They have an immortality field. They have some Brig armor potentially coming through here soon.
Kitsune Rush is the beginning of the fight for Trick here as the dive is trying to come through from Lag, but I mean, Lag is already gone here and the checkpoint will go over Cerberus. Showtime did end up popping that rally. Now the stick is out. The immortality field saves the life of the Brig there, but they're just being pushed back on the side of Showtime right now.
Yeah, they're really being sent for a loop right now, and you know, you start to wonder if this is Cerberus' chance to get some momentum built back in this series. Sure, it might be built off of a little bit of silliness, but you're seeing Synox and Shippy play in a phenomenal way right now. Both of them are getting perfect value here on the Echo and Tracer respectively here, and they're synced so well with Alazon on this Winston. It really is just sort of a match made in heaven going well for Cerberus right now.
Alright. A lot of damage being put out by Cerberus Esports. The engagement is there from the Winston. The sound barrier comes out for Midnight Mare, and 2 for 0 on the Deadeye, and the damage late there on to the duplicate means that Shippy gets nothing done, and Showtime will go no further here.
The Orisa team?
That's not what I was talking about.
But yeah,
the Orisa.
I mean, yeah, I knew what you were talking about, but I'd like to highlight Orisas. Listen, I miss the Orisa meta. I'll say it. No, I don't. That's a lie. But I'm a fan of the horse. But you know, seems as though Cerberus is not a fan as they choose to re-engage super aggressively here.
Yep, they're gonna get the touch from Alazon before the checkpoint gets taken away. Now Lag hand-holding TS1 to try and get back to that midpoint as 0 continues to put in damage from this high ground. The Kitsune Rush out early from Trick, but they've lost Alazon. Shippy trying to find something on this Echo, but not able to do so. The health bars of Cerberus Esports very, very low. Wow, what a stick on it to Sino. Definitely wasn't intended for Sino, and Showtime will be able to get their push going again.
Yeah, and it's, you know, off the back of some pretty interesting swaps, right? You're seeing 0 over to the Soldier 76, Amy now the one piloting Tracer, and Lag on that Orisa, you know, it's starting to pay off pretty well, right? You have a lot of sustained healing, the Baptiste still in play for Dizzy, along with the Brigitte throwing out armor packs wherever she needs to. I mean, it really is working out incredibly well, and this dive is getting punished time and again.
Alazon dead early to the hands of If You Seek Amy, and right now this Showtime comp switch is showing why they did it. Wow.
Yeah. Especially that kill on the Synox, dude. You have to start worrying Cerberus Esports. You build up this massive lead, but it's about to get, at the very least, matched in terms of meterage. It's so incredibly close. You can't allow the lead to flip back. That's so many fights that you're going to have to try to win back. But Cerberus, you're coming in with some good ultimates. You're going to have your Primal Rage, both your DPS ults. Somebody's got to be able to come alive and be this hero player.
All right, here we go. Pulse Bomb is out from Sino, not going to find a target here. The rally followed from side. Okay, Alizon able to send Dizzy off the map. I wasn't sure if that was Shippy or Alizon, but Alizon able to find a couple here, and they will stabilize 4 meters before Showtime took the lead.
Yeah, and being able to hold on to that lead is massive because now you're pushing the bot back to middle, and you're going to force another fight here before, you know, potentially the lead can be flipped over. That being said, the rest of Showtime, they got the forward spawns in their favor, so it will be a contest before that checkpoint flips the other way. And having to expend all 3 of your ultimates that were online for Cerberus, it's not going to be looking pretty into this one.
Alizon receives a spear, has to jump out if they want to hope to stay alive. Now this tactical visor not quite gonna find a target, nor will Amy's pulse bomb, but that amp matrix, you know, just explodes Alizon there. Unfortunately for Cerberus Esports, Dizzy and you know, Trick trying to stay alive, but not quite able to do it here, or gonna be able to get out actually.
Able to get out, and so the question is, can they contest before handing over the lead? It will be contestable, but they may have to overinvest some support ultimates just to be in this one when they really have no right to be. And again, you're seeing these spears coming out from lag. They're so helpful, but not helpful in the face of a Kitsune Rush.
All right, Kitsune Rush thrown out from a Cerberus Esports. Alizon very, very low, has to stay alive. They still have something in the way of tools in this fight, but that Kitsune Rush will and has faded away. You see Sino meets Amy in the little off angle there as the re-engagement comes from Alizon. Sound barrier thrown out by Cerberus. They didn't really want to, but they noticed that they had to. Now Pulse Bomb finds the floor, no kills to be found as Shippy not quite able to do anything in the face of that regenerative burst. And now with Dizzy gone, this should be a fight in the way of Cerberus Esports, able to take down side. You see Zero running away, using those legs to the best of their ability, but finally Cerberus is going to bring this fight out.
Yeah, and that pick onto Zero right there is super, super crucial because as you're going to watch here, that means that actually, I think it might have been both DPS ultimate, both DPS on the side of Showtime that don't get the forward spawn. So that Soldier 76 being sent way the heck back means that Showtime, they can't hold as forward as they'd like to despite having this massive ult advantage here. They're just going to have to contest the bot, give it up, and now start moving it back towards the center of the map as we dip below a minute.
Big thing, Cerberus didn't get close spawns here. So this will be a crucial fight for Showtime to win. They got the touch before the checkpoint. They have both DPS ultimates. They have both support ultimates. Zero has neither an ultimate nor a life anymore. Amplification Matrix going to come out from Dizzy early. Immortality Field has also been used and not able to find anything until Shippy goes down here. This Tracer from Sino is in the backline right now, dead to the Pulse Bomb of If You Seek Amy. Dizzy being shoved into a corner by Alizon, but there's just nothing Cerberus can do.
Yeah, but Cerberus, I mean, they took that fight almost exactly how they wanted to, where they forced out ultimates, right? You took out the rally, both DPS ultimates, so now you're just contesting with Lag's Terra Surge here as we're heading into overtime, but this is going to be the fight, right? 4 meters, somebody from Cerberus is going to have to be on it at all times, can't allow for a sneaky C9 to come through here. This is going to be the fight here, and Cerberus, they've got to win it to stay alive in the series.
Lag so very low. They know that the Terra Surge is online for Alizon, who will be able to help take it down. Lag, the trades are here. Dizzy so low, staying alive. Can they finish it off here for Showtime? They can! They come out of hibernation. They say, I don't care if I've been asleep since February. We're gonna sock it to you.
And that it's got to feel so unbelievably odd for the side of Cerberus, not just in terms of, Showtime coming out of nowhere, but even on that last map, an accident occurred. You had it going in your favor, but it seems as though, they're just as gifted on their off rolls as they are on their main. Phenomenal plays coming out from the entirety of Showtime here as they keep their dreams alive of winning this bracket. They're staying alive in the lower bracket. And, I mean, Showtime, props to you. I mean, I truly didn't believe, I'm going to be honest, I thought this was just going to be a random little match, but you came in, you showed a few different looks, you played incredibly well.
I don't think I've ever seen a series with more concentrated levels of clutch plays. That was ridiculous. Like, specifically, I know we talked about them a lot during the series, but Zero was just hero time after time after time. It didn't matter whether they were playing the Ashe or the Tracer or whatever, right? It just felt like every time Zero had a chance to make a play, Zero made a play.
Yeah. I mean, Zero was a hero. There's no other words to put it. Of course, there were still pop-offs across both sides of the field, really, if I'm being honest. Like, there was points where we're calling out Alazan, we're calling out Lag for doing these crazy things, Synox, just every single hero, it felt like, that was in the lobby. There was a point where there was a clutch that came through one way or another, but, clutch factors be damned. It was some fine Overwatch that I think we saw from both those squads. A lot of, flexibility between them. And I think, being able to overcome Cerberus Esports here, which is, no small feat by any squad, it shows that Showtime, they may have been gone, but they're back and they're ready to put their entire effort and being into these matches heading on throughout the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to see more cohesion, more consistent cohesion anyway, and it got significantly better as the series went on, but despite how spectacular and wonderful the match looked on paper for them, not every team is just going to let you have a fight win after you lose your tank. And the fact that happened 5, 6, 7 times in this series where Lag went down first, but Showtime won anyway, I've never seen anything like that. And maybe it is something that they're just ready for. Lag, you go distract them. Meanwhile, the rest of us will pump in the damage. So by the time they're done with you, they're below half HP. And maybe that's the game plan, right? But I think that Cerberus were probably just caught off guard by that, if that is the game plan. And moving forward, it's going to be really interesting to see if Showtime can keep up this momentum, because they have built up a little bit of it.
Yeah, they built up a little bit of momentum, but I think one thing that was also built up was the sleepy feeling, because it is approaching midnight here on the East Coast. Hello to any Europeans who might have woken up early. We promise this is still NA, even if you see the games going on now. It just is how late it is. But I mean, Fletch, if you just want to take us home and get us the heck up out of here.
Hey, yeah, I mean, Showtime really did put on a show here for us tonight, taking down Cerberus Esports 3-1 and staying alive after not playing since February. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series as much as we did, because this series was a lot of fun to watch. Very, very interesting Overwatch got played tonight. It was a lot of fun. The playoffs will continue tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, into the next couple of weeks or so. So keep an eye on the notifications on the Twitter. Keep an eye on the Discord. CGL, it's going to be an interesting time as we get closer and closer to that finish line here for season 13. So I hope to see y'all all in the next one, and I hope you all have a good night.